Well, mates, welcome to your weekly update. Right, we're right back there. No, let's come in a wee bit. That's better. Here we are. A little bit closer, a little bit more intimate. Will I change the angle? Yeah, let's change the angle a bit. Whoa! Just a little bit. I'm still getting used to this new layout. Thank you for your feedback, for those of you who've provided it, saying that you needed the camera a little bit more elevated. I've got a nice fat copy. In fact, let's show you it. I'm putting the collected works of Sherlock Holmes to good use. Because it raises the camera about 2.5 inches higher. Bothy Live tomorrow, Wednesday, the 14th. Look forward to seeing you there. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll be focusing in the channel about mentioning forthcoming reviews and also giving my opinion on the year ahead in a bit more depth and detail. And also it will include, excuse me a second, big stretch. I've received a sample now from North Star Spirits on Blend Ralphie. This in a previous extra Bothy Live. I live blended the whisky together, and I have been tasting this and sending a sample to a friend to taste as well, to give me his feedback. And it has been gently marrying and resting in an ex-sherry butt. Very large cask, and the cask means that there's a hint more sherry influence. My first impression is that the Teaninich content is giving quite a dominant top note, which initially was a little bit disconcerting when it's neat. As soon as you have to drop of water though, it really transforms. This is quite a bold blend, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'm not playing it safe, put it that way. But I think it's quite exciting because the individual component, quality component whiskies have been very good. And so long as you're putting good whiskey with good whiskey, you'll get good results. The dominance of the Teaninich is quite prominent. The other blends, the other whiskies have really blended slightly into the background initially, but then they start to come forward. So it really changes shape in the glass. Technically it's a 10-year-old blend, but in fact there's 17-year-old single malt in it. So I'll let you decide. I will keep you posted as and when it's going to be available, how much it costs. I'll let you be the first to know. And it's entirely up to yourself if you want to buy it. Some of the profits are going to go to a charity of North Star's choice. And my plan is to do something with North Star later in the year. Again, I'll keep you posted about that as well. Because there's nothing nailed down, nothing specific at the moment. In the meantime, we're at the time of year, the beginning of January, that the entire whisky industry is taking stock. There's not really that much being released by the big producers. What they're doing is they're busy, really, the marketing team, trying to get as much attention around Burns Night, which is but the 14th of January, I think, something like that. I'm Scottish and I should know, but I don't. But I've never been a fan of Burns Supper, although I'm a fan of the poetry of Robert Burns. I think he's just been appropriated as the national bard because there really wasn't a lot of options, and that sounds quite a kind of dramatic thing for a Scotsman to say, but I'm being realistic about it. There's been many other good Scottish poets you never hear of. Never, because they weren't approved. Rabbie Burns was in the right place at the right time, but many of his poems are really... It's even for a Scottish person, they're in such broad lowland dialect, they're difficult to understand. Which is why you always get the same poems read out at Burns suppers. Ode to a Mouse, and Ode to the Haggis, etc., etc. And Tam O'Shanter. It's always those three. I think that we'll start to see some movement in 1 to 2 weeks towards the end of January. Independent bottlers, I think, are going to be the fastest off the blocks with some novelty bottlings at accessible prices, because they're looking at a quiet time of year to get a lion's share of the conversation online. Because after all, with the scale of their production and bottling and sales and availability, they need to be light on their feet and grab the attention of the collective online whisky community around the world. I think that the economies, global economies in general, I think people are spending less because they need to cut down personal debt. People are really waking up to the fact that the world's changed post 2020, and people are realising it's changed more than people realise it's changed. These are such interesting times, but it's best to keep our own counsel, have our own personal vision, and maintain a positivity. To have enough is to have a lot. And whatever your budget this year for whisky, my fundamental advice is buy slower. Set yourself a budget. Don't rush, don't follow the fever. You know, Ardbeg have got a new bottling released and it's called Argody Buggledy Boogledy Boggledy, whatever, you know, whatever stupid name they give it. Don't rush in. If someone bangs off about some amazing Bunnahabhain, don't rush in and overpay, because it's the independent bottlers. That's who's really getting my attention, not initially. At the moment, I'm completing a very short series on Oswald winners. So that's really Springbank. I've just done a review on Springbank. First time in quite a while. Next will be Dradur, 10-year-old, the new 10-year-old, 46%. And I think that's about it. I'll be moving on to introduce some of the new distilleries that are coming of age. So, Kingsbarns, Clydeside, and that one in Fife, I can't remember the name. This kind of a bit like Loch Ransa, but it isn't. And you know what it is. And you're shouting down the screen here, and I should be able to hear you. What? Lindors, thank you. Lindors. I'll be doing my first ever review of Lindors. I'll be doing a review of Glenwivus. I think Glenwivus is totally overlooked and totally underrated. I think they're producing great spirit. But unfortunately, one thing I do notice is it's too expensive for independent bottlers to buy and help showcase how good Glenwivus is. The whisky's simply too expensive. I used to get approached for advice by distilleries, but as time goes on, they often don't want to even hear my opinion. They'd rather be in their own world and just keep their fingers crossed. And my advice to all whisky businesses is don't worry about listening to what I have to say, because I'm going to be cantankerous, moody, opinionated and prone to occasional rants as always. It's what the collective community, through the forums and the whisky clubs and at whisky festivals, that's where the opinions really, really matter. The people who are still invested, who are still buying whisky, less of it, more carefully, better quality, to sustain the interest. And I'll bet the way things are going, Your collection of opened bottles has far fewer chill-filtered whiskies than it used to have. But beware, there's still a pseudo-chill filtration going on under the guise of non-chill filtered, because they're using the big industrial machines, but they're just not cooling it. They're just not chilling it before they heavily filter. It does just as much damage. If you're not seeing the mist in the glass, it means it's over-filtered. Period. Unless it's triple distilled single malt or blended. Oh, what an exciting year this is going to be. I've got my popcorn, I'm sure you have too. Let's see how it goes. If I do see you in passing, I might not know you, but sure to stop and say hello and give me a wave. I will be out and about this year. I'm not sure where, I'm not sure when, but I do want to kind of circulate a little bit more this year, so as to keep some semblance of connection with what's going on, because Maltmates, things are moving fast. And thank you for your sponsorship, endorsement and support as Patreon subscribers. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for Bothy Live. If you can't catch it live, don't forget you can get it on Catch Up. It's still available to view later on the Patreon platform. Bye.